Okay. So here we go. What I'm about to share has been hidden in plain sight since its inception. It's not something I'm going to spoon feed you, and I have to be extremely careful in how I approach it. I've shared this before, multiple times, in fact. But every attempt has either been flagged, taken down, or completely ignored, like it was never even shown to you in the first place. That wouldn't surprise me. I first stumbled upon this in 2020, and let's just say it hit hard. The last time I posted about it, my channel got a strike just for the thumbnail. That alone should tell you something. It's wild, think big, really big, bigger than you can imagine. Now think small, microscopic. Then consider how the big and the small aren't just concepts. They exist in a very real, tangible way, woven into our reality in ways most people never notice. That's what I was trying to show, and maybe, just maybe, the world is finally ready for it, but I have to tread carefully. Let me be clear, this isn't about fear. This isn't about something evil. It's just an observation. I've always been a huge fan of Walt Disney, Mickey Mouse, Carl Sagan, and the archival nature of Disney's work. There's an artistic element to all of this, but there's also something deeper, something most people overlook. I'm sharing this as cautiously as I can, without risking another strike on my channel. So if you really wanna understand, you'll have to dig. I won't spell it out for you, because the moment I do, that's when the hammer comes down. But if you pay attention, really pay attention, you'll start to see the patterns for yourself. This isn't about conspiracy theories. It's about history, symbolism, and how certain imagery echoes through time, across industries, and into the fabric of our collective consciousness. If you think this is just about cartoons or entertainment, you're missing the bigger picture.
Wouldn't it be lovely to make contact with another civilization that has arisen and evolved independently? Well, one thing you'd have to do first is to be sure you can understand the message. Why should we expect that beings that are very different, evolved in a different place, different period of time for their evolution, should be able to send us a message that we can understand? And the reason I think that's likely is that they live in the same universe as we. They must deal with the same laws of physics and chemistry and astronomy as we. To test the idea that a signal could be understood, we did a little experiment. We can only use human beings. It's too bad. I wish we could use some other intelligent beings to make such an experiment, but we're restricted to people. They're the only ones we know about. And so what we did was to devise a complicated message, which you can see here, of zeros and ones. The 0 and 1 might be a long and a short radio beep, you know, beep, 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 beep. Or it might be two frequencies, beep, 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 beep. Might be many things, but it's a language of two letters. And you can see there's an enormous number of zeros and ones, in fact 27,000 and something of them here. You can't tell just by looking at it, oh my goodness, I see what this is. You have to think about it. Now the key to this is that the total number of zeros and ones is 31 times 31 times 31. 31 cubed. And it suggests that it's a pictorial message in 3 dimensions. And if we were to write it in a sequence of 31 symbols, then go to the next line, then you see it starts getting a remarkable regularity. And so what we did is to give this message, not made simple in that way, to some graduate students of mine at Cornell University. They were told nothing about what was in it, how to decode it, and their job was to figure out what it said. And here they are describing the process they went through to figure out what the message was about. These are all graduate students of mine who are reasonably clever. But none of them work on this particular problem.
Well, we gathered together in the Mars room and stared at it and cursed volubly at length. Kathy noticed that 31 divided into 29,791. And it was determined that the remainder, 961, was 31 squared, which left us with a 31 by 31 by 31 sequence. And then we sat together, 6 of us, for 4 hours, transcribing zeros and ones, screaming and shouting from one office to the next, and complaining about the typographical errors until we could get the sequence, which is shown in frames there.
They were making good progress. They found some errors in the transcription of this that the BBC had made, in fact, but they figured out how to get around that.
It was not necessarily a three-dimensional model at first. It could have been a movie, because what we see, what eventually turned out to be the corner markers of the cube and the lines which drew the pattern of the cube could have been just frame markers for a movie or a slideshow. It could have been separate frames. And it was only when we had drawn them out and looked at them that it became very uncertain whether it was anything like that.
Since it was a dull movie, you figured it was really a three-dimensional.
That was about the size of it.
So, here we have some plexiglass things. So a 1 will be represented by a black square and a 0 by a transparent square. Here's a whole sequence of transparent squares. That is, this would represent a sequence of zeros. Now, building up as the message requires, first space is a 1, which is black. Second space, another 1, which is black. Third space, other 1, which is black. And in fact, it's black 1s all the way across the top line. So top line there is a sequence of black 1s. Next line begins with a black 1, but then there's a sequence of zeros represented by the transparent markers, and then a 1 at the end. Now we have the similar pattern building up. Black edge, transparent interior, which goes for a number of lines further. Now the next line is different. It starts out with a 1, has a sequence of zeros, and then there are 3 1s in the middle, then the same sequence of zeros, and then a 1. So here is the black 1 at the periphery. Then here are the zeros. Next are the 3 black 1s, and then there will be zeros and a black 1 there. And the remainder of this frame fills in like this. So we now see the picture is a black border and a kind of Maltese cross in the middle, and everything else blank. There are many other layers, and when we build them all up, we result in a pattern, which we will shortly see, and that is the answer. We can tell this is the right answer because of how regular the geometry is. We couldn't have gotten that by accident. So here is, in 3 dimensions, what the resulting model is like. Now let's see what the graduate students have to say about their interpretation of this funny-looking message.
Well, the first thing that came out of our analysis of that object was that in profile it was strongly reminiscent of Mickey Mouse.
Drawing of a molecule. And the first one that came to my mind was formaldehyde.
And Kathy is in fact right. This was intended to be a formaldehyde molecule, although it does look a little bit like Mickey Mouse. And Kathy is in fact right. This was intended to be a formaldehyde molecule, although it does look a little bit like Mickey Mouse, in which there's a carbon atom, 2 hydrogens, and an oxygen. Now, what could the significance of that be? Why go to all this trouble to simply say formaldehyde? And the answer is that formaldehyde has a radio frequency attached to it. And what all of this trouble is about is the message is saying, don't listen on this station. This isn't the station that's interesting. Listen on the formaldehyde station, and that's where the Encyclopedia
All
Galactica
tales and
will
true
be.
from the legendary past, the wonder world of nature's own realm. Promise of things to come. Fantasyland, the happiest kingdom of them all.
Everybody knows me.
Nobody knows.
Everybody knows. Everybody knows.
Nobody knows. Warning.
No one knows what you're talking about and you sound stupid. Cool. 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 Who wears the crown when the kingdom falls? Who holds the wand when the curtain calls? Who cracks the seal when the story bends? And who signs their name when the dream time ends? And in 7 years when the script runs dry and the eyes see through a painted sky, when the stories unravel and the sigils break, will you remember what's at stake? Will you remember the lines wrote, the spells sang, the myths spoke? The echoes stacked like nested dreams, from the small mouse to the home, the house, and the in-between. Oh, I think you will. Oh, I hope you do. I hope you might. And when the eighth eye opens, well, won't that be a sight? When the eighth eye blinks, when the mask dissolves, when the sorcerer's hat falls off the wall, when the broom runs wild and the waves rise tall, when the ink spills out and covers it all. Oh, won't that be a happily ever after, after all? When the stars fall down from the magical sky, when the fireworks burst but we know not why, when the castle doors swing open wide and nobody's left on the other side. No script, no stage, no grand applause, no smiling mouse with snow white paws, no golden key, no slippers of glass, just silence for what has passed. And in that silence, will you hear it too? The ache of a dream that never came true. The dripping of ink as it leaks from the frame, the sigh of a world that forgot, the name. Who's the leader of the club that's made for me and you? Hickory dickory dock, the mouse ran up the clock. The clock, talk, talk, tick tock.
Do you know I'm like you? She does for real. Do you know I like magical shit too? Do you know I talk to the black ink that seeps through? Yeah, that black ink, yeah, it's black. Do you know it talks back to me too? It's not as dark as you think. Yeah, I hear about the shoes that fit and the excitement you feel when you see you reflecting back to you. For real? Well, guess what I do too? I go ape shit when I see me reflected in you. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I know Thoth, I know Rain, I know Cheshire, and I can restrain my disdain for the horses or rivers that is cold in the damn shit. Mickey Mouse in the house you don't even know. Pour formaldehyde that hides so much wealth. Carl Sagan showed us the truth, but did you see it all? I do. Who's the leader of the club that's made for you and me? M-I-C-K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E. Who's the leader of the club that's made for you and me? M-I-C-K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E. Who's the leader of the club that's made for you and me? M-I-C-K-E-Y-M-O-U-S-E. I'm a sorceress, and I feel for Mickey, poor kid, never had a chance against himself, no matter his intentions. And yeah, I'm a sorceress, or that's what The Rock told me. Yeah, Odin with one eye who can't see here now told me that I was something else, something special. Special wasn't a word he used though, but you get it. This one here, I'm something you never seen before. He said the world will realize what my eyes see in 7 years, and by then my eyes will
the core, through the gleefs that twist and the candles gleam, through that shit that goes buzz in the in-between, through that shit that goes buzz in the in-between. Do you know I stitch thoughts into hymns? Do you know when I breathe reality bends? Do you know when I sing it renders again? Yeah, yeah. I hear about the names that shift, the weight that lifts, the fates that shift, and the hands that deal the crooked myths. Sequential 7 till the cycle completes. 7th heaven, 7th gate, 7 man, 7-11, 7 till echoes repeat. 7 seals on the scroll they keep. 7 doors in the house of the deep, and by then my eyes will be seeing 8. Not just the mist but the marrow too. Not just the light but the hollow view. Not just the lies but the hidden truth. And do you know, I think you do. M-O-U-S-E. Mickey's a sigil, a seal, a key, a glyph in the ink, a trick up the sleeve, a joke in the mirror that laughs when you blink, a sorcerer's trick that you think. Who's the leader of the club that's made for you and me? Spell it out, M-I-C-K-E-Y. O-M-O-C-K-E-R-Y. The hand draws a circle, the one sets the stage, the broom starts sweeping, the current obeys, the hat, the stars, the Louis of glow, revolution of choice in a scripted show. Oh, but you see it, don't you? The ink that bleeds beyond the page, the voice that speaks between the frames, the reel that loops, the cycle plays again, 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 again. It's all in the frames, the time in the cut. The background shifts, but you stay in a rut. A story rehearsed, a dream retold, a spell in celluloid flickering gold. You chase the white gloves, the grinning shade, the castle that glows in a neon haze, the road to forever, the technicolor sky. Wish on a star, a well-run drive. It's there in the ink, the mark, the stain, the voice that calls but never gives names, the chorus that sings in saccharine tones, the mouse, the house, but never the throne. Because who wears the crown when the kingdom falls? Who holds the wand when the curtain calls? Who cracks the seal when the story bends? Who signs their name when the dream time ends?